Sure, yeah, I'm Jay Weinberg. I'm going to be coming down to Australia soon with Infectious Grooves. I'm incredibly excited. It's an amazing opportunity, obviously, anytime you get to come to Australia, but to come to Australia with some of your, musical heroes kind of never really happens. So to be able to do this, for them to ask me to be a part of this, incredible chapter of Infectious Grooves is kind of amazing and mind-blowing, and it's been a lot of fun so far.
Well, thanks for joining us today, Jay. It's a pleasure to have you, mate.
Pleasure to be here.
I've got to say off the bat too, mate, like infectious groups have been around for ages, and I'd never really given them much thought before, to be honest. And as soon as you joined them, I thought I'll have a listen to those guys, and I've been missing out. I've been missing out for so many years. They're fucking awesome, aren't they?
Awesome. Absolutely. Well, it's never too late, to enjoy some awesome music. So I'm glad you're tuned into it.
Yeah, I've been pumping it all morning, bro. It's giving me a nice little G up for the day.
Good.
So you'll be in Australia with Infectious Grooves soon for a run of shows, starting on March 30 in Melbourne before heading to Brisbane, followed by stopover at Byron Bay Blues Festival, then Adelaide and finishing in Sydney on April 5. But by my reckoning, mate, they've only given you one day off to enjoy yourself. So welcome back to touring life.
I know it's not always kind of the shame of like when you're an American band coming to Australia, it's just really difficult to, obviously the goal is to, play music for some of the best music fans there are in the world. For us Americans, like, it is just such a shame that Australia is so far away because it's kind of the consensus that it's like everybody's favorite place to play and favorite place to go. Uh, but it is also a shame that yeah, it's never really kind of baked into the tour itinerary for much time off. I had one experience about like 10 years ago or so, maybe 9 years ago. As part of the Soundwave Festival, where it was kind of 2 weekends, and then you had like the week off in the
Oh, yeah.
middle. That was awesome, and I got to explore a little bit. So we'll be seeing as much as we possibly can here, but obviously our prime directive is to rock in some faces in Australia. But yeah, we never have enough time, that's for sure.
Nah. So, like, in reality, you're only playing the 5 shows. So, the tours like this is sort of thing that, like, it's just go, go, go the whole time, and you don't get a chance to take it all in until you're on the plane flying home, or do you sort of soak it up while you're in it and live in the moment?
Well, you try to be as present as you can for sure. In my experience, yeah, oftentimes these tours where you travel to a destination, a country, or new continent that you've never been to before, or don't get to visit very often. It tends to be, yeah, it tends to go by way quicker than you hope or you imagine, and you're just kind of like you're just trying to hold on to a moving freight train. That's part of the excitement as well. That's all part of it. So for me, I think, my experience has always been like there's a job to be done, there is rock music to be made, and that's what we're there to do. And if I can navigate all that and execute on that mission, then I feel like, we've done a good job. And then the kind of extracurricular things of hopefully being able to take in the culture and life and everything that Australia has to offer, that goes for anywhere. But now that we're coming to Australia, we hope to explore as much as we can. And then yeah, oftentimes you end up being on the flight home just being like, what was this week? That was totally insane. And that's part of why we do this in the first place, is to make those connections and to travel to these places. We're so lucky that we get to do it. So yeah, it's gonna be a blast no matter what.
Yeah. Now, before you come out here, you're going to be playing 2 shows in the US. So, how you feel about that, man? Like, are you nervous? Like, you like the new kid on the block?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of being a rock and roll musician is like, if you're not nervous, if you're not, excited and challenging yourself in those ways, it's oftentimes something like not worth doing. So for me, I thrive on that. I love that opportunity and that challenge to get integrated with guys I haven't played with before. A style of music that I feel is within the framework of the genres that I've been accustomed to playing for 20 years. But it is very specific, and coming into it, having been asked to come into Infectious Grooves, I knew right away that this would be an amazing challenge in that it's within my wheelhouse, I feel, but it's also something that's very particular, very specific, funk and groove oriented, which is fairly new for me. And I'm really excited by that. So yeah, to start it off, kind of in our backyard in Southern California with two shows is very exciting. It brings it back to where the band started. And that's, it's a real honor to kind of be, I feel like we're revisiting it in a way that, that start of Infectious Grooves and the legacy and the people who have been in Infectious, and for myself just to be a part of that is an incredible honor. And yeah, but it's a challenge that I'm very much looking forward to undertaking.
Now you mentioned that, mate, like it raises a good point. Like you're used to playing fast and heavy, like being with Slipknot for 10 years. Now you're coming into something that's funk and groove orientated. So I don't know much about music, bro, but like is it a mindset that you got to put yourself in for something different? Is it technique you do different? Like how do you change from one style to the other?
It's a good question. If I knew a complete answer, I wish I did. But the best I can describe it is, no matter what it is, whatever band I'm playing with, I try to just approach it from a place of authenticity and have it come from the heart, really. That's I feel like approaching it like that, that's how my favorite musicians approach things. And you can kind of see that in any project. If someone's played with a bunch of different projects, you can kind of see that authenticity and that character kind of pop through, in that it's like, I know the way I play. And if I can tailor that to the specific needs of a group or a band, then I try to do that and just kind of try to be myself, but within the context of something that's existed for 30 years, as Infectious has. So yeah, that's a challenge in and of itself, where it's like, what is the right way to approach a new like a very, the nuances. It's all about the subtle nuances that make it different, from one project to another. Because to me, it's like it's all rock and roll. It's all, kind of within that umbrella, and from that framework, you start to kind of dissect the very little nuances and subtleties of what you're trying to do, and trying to fit the sonic character of a certain band. So being tasked with that, having to approach it and execute on these songs that have a specific style, and come to it from a place of authenticity, is very important to me. So it's like a delicate balance of just kind of bringing what I know I do, and these guys have asked me to just kind of bring it and be myself, and I'm honored to do that. So, and we've practiced and recorded some new music together. So it's very much an exciting time for me. I'm just having the time of my life.
I bet you, bro. Like, because Infectious Grooves, of course, is made up of yourself. There's Mike Muir and Dean Pleasance from Suicidal Tendencies. You got Rob Trujillo, who was originally from Suicidals, but now Metallica. Dave Kushner from Velvet Revolver. Like, it's pretty fucking impressive collection, bro. Like, you just sit there and look around in the jam room and just go, life's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, man. No, it is truly unreal. I mean, playing with all those guys is an absolute honor. And whenever you get into a room with new guys, and you're playing together for the first time, there is that, like, that crazy energy in the room of just kind of feeling each other out and whatever. As a rhythm section, I'll tell you, finding the pocket with Robert Trujillo is like, that's one of the greatest, most exciting things I've ever been fortunate enough to experience in my life. Like, as a drummer, that's just unreal. So that's been incredibly exciting. Playing with all these guys has been awesome, and it really feels like we've just kind of gelled right off the bat. And only looking forward to this tour is like, I don't know if we'll have another opportunity, just because everybody has a lot of very busy schedules. So, we're just kind of looking at this as a great opportunity to celebrate Infectious, and give it a little new attitude, and some new sounds, some new song. Yeah, it's like, it's super, super cool. And yeah, playing with those guys is an absolute treat.
Yeah. Now, so the first show is in Melbourne on March the 30th, mate. So, excuse me, it's only going to be your third ever gig with Infectious Grooves, mate. So, what do you like at the back there? Like, are you sitting at the back just concentrating on what you're doing, or are you looking around and loving life? Like, it's going to be pretty hard for you.
Yeah, it's a bit of both. I mean, like with anything, any new thing, you're kind of finding your sea legs, at when you first start out. So yeah, I'm kind of exploring this territory and feeling it out, feeling literally, the different grooves that I'm now playing, songs that I've never played before. That's very exciting. But yeah, the fact that it's come together so well and kind of effortlessly all at once, it is like I am able to lose myself in those spaces in certain songs. That's really exciting to already be at that place with like a new group of guys. In my experience, that's a difficult kind of place to find. So to find that in our first like two jam sessions is like incredibly exciting.
Yeah. I'm interested to know too, bro. Like, did they encourage you to bring your own flair and style to the drum stool, or did they sort of give you a parameters to sort of work within that's the Infectious Groove sound?
Yeah, well, that was kind of, as Mike and I were speaking, and Mike and I, our friendship goes back to some of my first tours with Slipknot were with Suicidal, and we play with them, we would play with them all the time. So Mike and I kind of have an understanding and have been friends for a little while. And when he approached me to do this, that was kind of what he told me. He's like, we want you to bring you, like I mean, look, Infectious has had a king's ransom of some of the best drummers on earth, playing in Infectious. Um, so, looking to what those guys have done, and I'm so inspired, all those guys have been my inspiration since I was a young person, just figuring out, how to play drums. Um, but so, like I said before, approaching it from that place of authenticity, I think that was one thing that resonated with Mike, as I was speaking to him, getting integrated within this is like, do you come at this with what you've got? And, obviously that's like, the songs are the songs, so we play the songs, but it's like I'm not gonna sound like another guy who's been infectious before, because that's not the goal. The goal isn't to replicate that. The goal is to just come at it from a place of sincerity and a place of like true, have a true kind of true-hearted approach to playing this music. And so when they brought me on board with that, that kind of spoke to my sensibility of like, I know how to approach this. It's about understanding where the songs come from and then figuring out in my own way how I approach that and have it come across, from a place of sincerity and authenticity.
Yeah. And is it true that Mike's 14-year-old son was pretty much instrumental behind getting you to the band?
Yeah, yeah, from what we've talked about. Yeah. Because I think Mike was unsure, he saw that I had hip surgery a couple months ago. And I think he was unsure about, I'm not sure what his playing schedule is like, when he's going to be back on the kit. My goal has always been to recover from this surgery, hopefully. And like back when I got the surgery originally in November, I had hoped that I'd be back on the drums, getting my sea legs back around like mid-March, and then be ready to like play the way I really do by like mid-April. But I'm really pleased that, through rigorous, physical therapy and just really doing all the right things that I've been told by my doctors to do, I've been ahead of schedule. So I've already been back on the drums for a month, and that's felt awesome. But he didn't know. So his son was asking like, I don't know if Jay's ready to play, but like you should hit up Jay to see if he would do this. And so Mike was like, maybe he will be ready by then, by mid-March to play some shows. So when he called me to do it, I mean, I was still on crutches. Like
Wow.
I was still kind of getting used to my physical therapy, schedule and everything. But right then and there, I was like, yes, I will do it. I will find a way to do it. I'll talk to my doctor and make sure he's cool with me doing it, but I'm sure it's going to be cool. And yeah, so I'm very pleased that the whole Muir family has it's been an effort to get me on board. So I'm very grateful for that.
You want to buy that, get a packet of baseball cards or something, bro?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we had a great, great hug about it for sure when I got to the practice.
I bet. So on the subject of your surgery, bro, like how did it go? Is it something that's going to heal over time and you'll be back to 100%, or is it going to have a lingering effect on you for life?
No, I mean, I feel really good right now. It was it was an injury that was like sustained over years of honestly from running was the thing that did it that hurt me the most.
I knew
Um,
exercise was bad for you.
yeah, no, and that's my favorite way of exercising because when you're on tour, you can just like I'm gonna run an hour that way and an hour back, and that was like my favorite way to exercise. But in about the summer of 2017 or 18, I would go for a run, and like 5 minutes in, I'd be in like debilitating pain on my left side, and I had no idea why. But I found out that I had a misshapen bone. My femur, as it goes into my hip, was misshapen. It had a little bit of extra bone. So as I was running and when I was younger, I used to kickbox. That motion would bash up against the labrum of my left hip, and so it tore it over time. And so I, got together with a doctor who does this kind of operation all the time on athletes and stuff, and he was like, "Hey, I do this kind of operation all the time. You should get it done while you're younger than as opposed to risking your joint deteriorating, by not doing anything about this." So it's always been a goal to do it, but it was always a moving target for about 6 years. As I had a very rigorous touring and recording schedule, I didn't really have a period of time because it was, as it was clear to me, I would need a period of between 4 to 6 months to fully recover. Luckily to this point, it's been 3.5 months. Um, and I feel really good. I'm able to play. Obviously, when you're on crutches for 6 weeks, you lose a tremendous amount of power in your legs. So I'm just kind of, I'm getting that back gradually and just doing all the right things. But no, that's the goal is to, get back to 100%. That's why I did the surgery, was so I could get back to running, get back to doing all the things that I love, without having pain in my life. Um, so yeah, so I already feel really great. My physical therapist says I should be back to running by July, which
Oh.
is really nice. And yeah, that's the idea is like having done it at, a relatively young age, I don't run the risk of having done further damage to the joint. And and yeah, so I'm really, really happy to have, bitten the bullet. Yeah, it sucked to do it, but like, as I'm here now, able to, with a greater range of motion and just getting everything back, I'm so pleased to have done it.
Yeah. But just to clarify here, mate, like, are you actually a member of Infectious Grooves now, or are you just sort of filling in the time being?
I'm not really sure, I don't really put a name to anything like that, like as far as I'm aware, this is the only tour that we can do, everybody's
Yeah.
got such busy schedules. So I don't really know if, if those guys are open to doing more and we had a great time in the studio this past weekend putting together a new song. So, if those guys say, "Hey, we want to do more shows. Hey, we want to record more." I'm absolutely into it because it's it's such a thrill playing with those guys. But we'll see. I mean, it's so new. It's such
Yeah.
a new friendship and relationship that it's like we're all just really enjoying the excitement of it being this fresh new thing. So whatever's down the road, I'm certainly into it if those guys are, and we'll just see.
Smile on your face says it all, bro. You don't even have to say any words. Just a smile on your
Yeah,
face says it all.
yeah, I'm pumped, man. I mean, there's no better way to, come off the heels of like my first ever surgery that had me laid up for months. There's no better way to come out of that than to be going to Australia with Infectious Grooves. Are you kidding me? Like, I'm incredibly grateful, and it's just such a, such an amazing thing to be a part of. So I'm incredibly happy, excited, gracious, all of it.
Now you brought this up a couple of times, mate. So we'll explore it now. But footage has emerged of you guys in the studio with a strong hint that there is a song being done. Can you confirm or deny? Is it new music?
I can confirm. Yeah, there's new Infectious Grooves music on the way. I hope it'll be out before the tour.
Wow.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how, how all that stuff goes. I know, obviously it always takes longer than we always want, we always want like the song that we just made to be available immediately, like that. Always That's just always the case, but there's it's got to get worked on. But no, there is new stuff. It's awesome. I'm super pumped on it. um like we spoke about earlier, it's like you find the sonic character of a new band. And it is that kind of balance of like, respecting the lineage of the band and where it's been and stuff, but like, having been asked to come in this and approach it from a place the only way I know how, which is just to be myself. That was a cool little, puzzle kind of problem to figure out how to do that. How would I approach drumming on a new Infectious Grooves song? So with what we came up with, I'm incredibly excited. It's kind of a new style for me. Um, which is exciting, I think, for any musician to be able to kind of branch out and show a little bit of versatility and some different stuff than I've ever really been able to play before. So yeah, I'm very excited for people to hear it.
Now, don't just tease us with that, mate, and say it's different and something you've never done before. Elaborate. Tell what can we expect?
I mean, oh God, I mean, it's difficult to put it into words just because, like, it's all about the music. That's why we play the music, is because there aren't words to describe, how it is, what the feeling is, or whatever. That's what the music is there for. But I think as people have been kind of putting together, and we've tried kind of teasing it a little bit of what we're doing with some fly on the wall footage of us jamming for the first time. I think as far as my contribution is, like, I can't escape being the drummer that I am. I always will bring the things that I like to play about the drums into it. But that being said, there are I like to think that, as any musician should, having a wide variety of inputs and inspirations and stuff that filters into the music that we then record and play. So I feel like I'm getting to show some more influences than I've ever been able to show before. I'm showing my Bill Ward appreciation in some moments. My Who else am I kind of tapping into with this? God, it's difficult to put a name to it, but like there's definitely some Bill Ward moments that I was like, wow, like this is where I'm gonna show, my inner Bill Ward
Fuck
kind
yeah.
of stuff. That's pretty exciting. But that being said, like it takes twists and turns, and it's a pretty awesome, eclectic showing from Infectious. So yeah, it's a wild thing to be a part of. As you can probably tell, like I'm still buzzing from it. I'm still kind of, you know, we came up with it basically on the day, in the studio. It was awesome to have Adam Siegel involved, who obviously Infectious Grooves fans are, they know Adam. Um, excuse me, to have all these guys involved and everybody in the studio just kind of getting our hands dirty and making it all happen pretty much within the space of a day. We had a basic arrangement kind of in mind, but then throwing it all together and seeing what would happen, that's so exciting to me. Like those are my favorite moments in the studio, where you really, you enter and the goal is to get something inspired and instinctual, and that's what we left the studio with. So I'm very excited for everybody to hear it.
Wow. And then at this stage, is it just a one-off single, or you plan on maybe extend it to an album?
We'll see. For right now, we got one song. I think that's a good little litmus test for, everybody's our chemistry and what we're doing here. I think that was just a great idea by those guys to be like, obviously we're gonna play, the infectious hits that everybody wants to hear. But what would it be like if we came with something new? And that's just like incredibly exciting to me, because I'm always the most amped up about new stuff, and to be coming up with new ideas and trying to push something forward. So the fact that that's on their radar as well is really cool. And to be involved in it the way I have been so far is like been such an honor. And yeah, it seems like it's all coming together, and but I think one song is a good litmus test for people to hear this iteration of Infectious.
Yeah. So what's next for Jay Weinberg after this tour, mate? Like, it's been a whirlwind 10 years, but especially last 6 months for you, bro. Like, are you going to take time out for yourself, or are you just going to plunge straight back into something?
I mean, I'm kind of I'm always looking for, the next thing to do. I'm somebody who doesn't really do well with downtime. I always like to be creatively active in some way or another, kind of all the time. I'm sure my dogs and my wife are losing their patience with how active I like to be. But yeah, with that said, no, it's I'm very much excited and looking forward to a year of a lot of new things, lots of things I haven't been able to do for years, and we get to branch out in ways that I haven't before. So that's all very exciting. Exciting things that are yet to be announced, I'll say. Um, and yeah, and I'm also, it's some of my favorite stuff is doing things that are a little bit more independent and a little bit more just kind of in your face, I suppose is like a way to put it. Like I've worked with my the drum company that I play, SJC Custom Drums. We've done a lot of DIY events where it's kind of an opportunity to bring like a large scale kind of rock show and just distill it to what we can do in a drum clinic setting, but make it
Oh, yeah.
more than a drum clinic sort of thing. So I've been asked quite a number of times about the twists and turns of my career thus far, and how you know people often kind of are like, okay, so like Slipknot on one hand and Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band on the other hand, and like how does one bridge that gap of doing both and making it, like I said before, approaching both from a place of authenticity. Um, so I'm kind of embarking this year on doing a lot of those independent things where it kind of, I want to share in those things and looking to the future, the amazing things that I'm a part of, Infectious and beyond. I'm going to be yeah, setting up a lot of kind of independent stuff like that, which is incredibly exciting for me. And yeah, there are projects in the pipeline that the world should be finding out pretty soon. So we'll just keep you posted.
Sweet as, bro. Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you today, mate. I'll let you go because the next verse will be after you now, but I'll be coming to the Brisbane show, man. So hopefully we get to catch up and have a beer.
Awesome. All right, I'll see you there.
Take care, brother.
Well, take care. Bye.